What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Mind Something. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and in today's video, the 4060 Ti 16GB reviews are in, and it's not looking good. Also, TSMC says US employee talent isn't up to the task. And lastly, we have price leaks for the RX 7700 and the 7800, so stick around to the end for those. But before we get into the content, do me a favor, hit that like button, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so by the end of the video. So let's jump straight in and let's take a look at this article from Video Cards that says the GeForce RTX 4060 Ti 16GB ends up slower than an 8GB in official MSI testing. MSI has recently unveiled benchmark results for the latest RTX 4060 Ti 16GB GPU. Notably, neither NVIDIA nor any of its board partners provided test units to the media, resulting in a lack of official coverage when the card was released yesterday. NVIDIA took significant precautions to prevent leaks, even withholding the public driver until the official release date. Consequently, early purchasers or reviewers of the card were unable to provide day one coverage due to the absence of drivers. Even MSI, as the manufacturer, had no prior knowledge of the card's performance upon its launch. The very first official benchmark was shared during the MSI Insider Weekly podcast, where employees discussed the company's latest hardware releases. During testing, it became evident that the RTX 4060 Ti 16GB did not exhibit a substantial performance improvement over the 8GB model. This outcome was expected considering both cards share nearly the same TDP, 165 watts versus 160, while higher memory capacity requires more power. Additionally, the benchmarking process lacked the thoroughness, with limited runs and the use of identical scenes resulting in a possibly higher margin of error. But, when it comes to mining capability, really what it boils down to is there's no significant changes in the specs other than the amount of VRAM. So here we take a look at a 4060 and you can see, or 4060 Ti, you can see that we've got a 128-bit memory bus and 288 gigabytes of bandwidth. And if we take a look at the 4060 Ti 16GB variant, we also have a 128-bit bus and 288 gigabits of bandwidth. So the only significant difference being the VRAM could potentially be swayed in profitability perhaps on an algorithm like Dynex, but other than that, I don't see any significant improvements or gains to be had when it comes to mining. As far as the base clock, boost clock, and memory clocks, we're looking at 2310, 2535, 2250 versus 2310, 2535, and 2250. So again, everything's the same except for the VRAM. They're charging an extra $100 for this card. Does it look like it's going to be a good GPU for mining? No, it does not, unfortunately. But perhaps it may make a small difference if you're specifically interested in mining Dynex. Time will tell. We should have some answers here pretty soon. But let's move on. Let's talk about TSMC saying that the US employee talent isn't up to task. So TSMC is delaying US chip fab opening, says US talent is insufficient. The Taiwanese semiconductor manufacturing company, TSMC, was supposed to have its first Arizona chip factory operational by late 2024, but now has confirmed significant delays, primarily due to a shortage of technical workers with critical expertise in the US. TSMC projects to finish construction instead by 2025. This is an ominous delay, Bloomberg reported, and it comes right when investment in AI is booming. TSMC is a leading supplier of AI chips, and the Biden administration is scrambling to quickly expand the U.S. domestic chip industry. But the delay wasn't necessarily unexpected. ASML Holding NV CEO Peter Wennink told Bloomberg, Wennink's company is one of the world's leading producers of chip-making equipment, and he said that getting access to skilled workers is a common cause of setbacks when building semiconductor fabrication plants, also known as fabs. People don't seem to realize that when we start building those fabs across the globe, now and are everywhere, that skill has been refined over the last couple of decades in only a few places on the planet, predominantly in Taiwan and in Korea and a bit in China. So we're running into some big issues here, and it just goes to reflect on the US in general just being a nation of consumers and completely uneducated in a lot of fields that are going to stifle innovation in the US. And I think it's very unfortunate, and it's definitely going to slow things down. So lastly, let's get into this article from Tom's Hardware. We've got alleged prices of AMD's RX 7700 and RX 7800. Now that we know rough performance in AMD's upcoming Radeon RX 7700 and RX 7800 graphics cards, we are left wondering about their prices. If the numbers leaked by All the Watts, a tweeter that has a very spotty record, are correct, then AMD is considering a rather curious pricing strategy. Meanwhile, since these boards seem to be weeks away, take the information with a grain of salt. According to expectations made by All the Watts, AMD's recommended price for its Radeon RX 7700 will be $449. The more powerful Radeon RX 7800 will carry a $549 suggested price tag. So if we look at pricing, an RX 7700 coming in at $449 is going to be pretty close in pricing to a 4060 Ti, and a 7800 at $549 is going to come in somewhere close to a 4070. Now, how will they compare for mining performance against the 40 series? Well, if we take a look at just AMD GPUs as far as profitability is concerned, at 13 cents per kilowatt hour, you're going to notice something, and that is the fact that we've got a lot of 6000 series here at top of the profitability charts. Even a 5700 is coming in way, way above a 7900 XTX. So, yeah, the most profitable thing on a 7900 XTX is Dynex at 64 cents in revenue and 1 penny in profit at 13 cents per kilowatt hour. So, if you're looking at AMD GPUs, then the 7000 series does not make a whole lot of sense, especially if you're comparing MSRP pricing between the 7000 series and the 40 series. So taking a look at the 40 series GPUs, just for comparison, if we look at 13 cents per kilowatt hour, specifically on Dynex here, what you're going to see is a 4090 obviously coming in on top at 70 cents in revenue, 11 cents in profit. And if you compare that to the latest AMD GPU and the best AMD GPU at that, you're looking at 64 cents a day in revenue and 1 cent a day in profit. So obviously the efficiency of these new 7000 series GPUs is definitely going to be an issue. Now, I personally would not recommend running out and buying any new particular GPU specifically for mining. However, if you can pick them up on the used market, potentially some good buys could be had, especially if you're paying a very cheap price per kilowatt hour. And lastly, before we get out of here, guys, I just want to remind you, not very many people have watched this video, so your chances of winning the giveaway are extremely good. I don't know if you are aware, but I am giving away an RX 6600 as well as a Hive Mapper dash cam, and all you have to do in order to qualify to win is simply leave a positive comment on either this video or the Hive Mapper video, which is this one here. So if you want to win the Hive Mapper dash cam, leave a comment on this video. If you want to win the RX 6600, leave a comment on this video here. Make sure to keep it positive. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoy the content. We are very, very close to 5,000 subscribers, maybe about 5 or 10 away. So hopefully we'll be doing that giveaway before the end of the month. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you on the next one.